Now, moving further, there are many theories that shows and reflect the nature and scope of this corporate personality as created by law. Here, many jurists have propounded their own theories regarding why the corporate should be known as a person, and therefore, this theory propounds their own logical ideas, their logical reasoning that why the corporate should be considered as a corporate personality, and therefore, these are the theories of corporate personality. This theory gives us a theoretical perspective on the topic, that is a corporate, allowing us a better understanding of the concept of corporate personality. And these theories of corporate personalities are, which we are going to see: fiction theory, concession theory, realist theory, bracket theory, purpose theory, and group personality theory. First, the fiction theory. As per the fiction theory, a corporation exists only as an outcome of a fiction or metaphor. Means, according to this theory, there is no corporation as such, but it is a fiction created by human mind or by a law, and therefore, according to this theory, there is nothing like a personality of the corporation. And so, according to this theory, the personality that is attached to this corporation is done purely by legal fiction. The legal person is created only in the eyes of law for a specific purpose. Means, the legal personality is only in the eyes of law. It is not for the purpose of a common man. And therefore, this theory suggests that the corporation is a pure legal fiction. This theory was propounded by Savigny and it was backed or approved by Salmon and Holland. Next one is a concession theory. This is similar to the fiction theory. According to this theory, the term personality is like a concession given to the body corporate. It is a concession given by the law. It states that this theory states that the legal entity has been given a corporate personality or a legal existence by the functions of the state. It is the function of the state and that gives personality to the corporation, and therefore this is a creation of the state. As per this theory, only the state can endow legal personality and not the law. Means, for giving personality to the corporation, a state must exist. Here we can consider the example of East India Company, which is a charter company, and the personality is endowed to that charter, to that corporation, by the Crown of Britain, and therefore it was the concession given by the royal order or royal charter to the company to do business with East India Asia. Next is a realist theory. As per this theory, there is a really no distinction between natural person and artificial person. This theory accepts that there is a real existence of the corporation, and so a corporate entity is as much as a person as like a natural persons, as both are having a bodily existence as well as animus too. And so the corporation does not owe its existence to the state or the law. The existence of the corporation is per se evidentiary, and therefore it just exists in reality. This is not a very practical theory, but it applied in the real world, realist theory. Next one is a bracket theory. This is a very interesting theory. Bracket theory is also known as the symbolist theory, which states that a corporation is created only by its member and its agents. Understand the concept bracket. Bracket is like a framework, like a memorandum of association or article of association. This framework is placed by the law or by the state so as to identify the separate existence of the corporation, separate from its members or the promoters who have established that corporation, and therefore bracket denotes the idea of segregation between the person who have established and the thing which has been established. Therefore, this is a very interesting theory, bracket theory. Next one is a purpose theory. Of course, every corporation has a certain purpose behind its establishment, and therefore there is an object clause in memorandum of association. Let's understand this theory. This theory declares that only human being can be a person and have rights. It also states that a juristic person is no person at all, but merely a subjectless property meant for a particular purpose. Means the corporation is not a person, but it is a body created for a particular purpose, and therefore there is a ownership but no owner. Of the owner shall be a natural person. Of course, the ownership is with the corporation, but the owner shall be natural person. The owner cannot be a legal person. Thus, a juristic person is not constructed by a group of people, but it is based on some object and purposes. Means as soon as the object and purpose of establishment of corporation gets over or expired, the corporation or the body which has been infused in a legal personality shall be disposed of, shall lapse, and therefore only living things can be the subject matter of rights and duties and not the corporation, according to this theory. As long as the purpose exists, the corporation exists. Moving further, last theory is known as a group personality theory. This is a general term. This theory believes that every collective group has a real mind, a real will and real power of action, and therefore corporation is nothing but a group of persons. It is an association established for a particular purpose or to carry on particular object, and therefore a corporation has a real existence irrespective of the fact whether it is recognized by the state or not. The recognition is not material, is not important, but the corporation, which is a creation of an association, and therefore it has a group personality. Now moving further, till now we understood what is corporate personality, what are the theories of corporate personality. Now we'll understand what is meant by legal status of animal. Many times a question comes whether an animal can be considered as a person, and therefore this is necessary to understand. In many cases, law will grant legal personhood to non-human entities. Non-human entities like a corporation. Corporation also has a personality. Apart from corporation, there are certain other objects like animals. In ancient times, lower animals and beasts were punished by any wrong done by them. Means they were considered as a subject to the law or a subject of law, and therefore if animal has done anything wrong, he has to get punishment. But in modern times, animals are not considered as a legal persons, but they are considered as an object since they do not enjoy rights or have duties, and therefore they shall not be considered as a legal person so far as modern law is concerned. But in modern law, master shall be held responsible for the acts of his pets and beasts, and therefore vicarious liability is imposed on the master. Now let us understand the concept of object and subject of law. This is very important to understand the concept of rights and the person. Person is considered as a person because he is considered as a subject of law, means he has to follow the law. But animals are not considered as subject of law, but they are considered as an object of law. Means the law is created for the benefit of animal, and therefore the law is not expecting anything or any rights and duties from the animals. Here the picture itself is explanatory that the entertainment is owner of 500 crore property Of course, this is a movie, but we shall take the legal significance of the movie. Now next, law does recognize the need to protect animals of all kinds. Indian law has made a provision for the well-being and maintenance of animals, like protection or cruelty towards animals act and etc. These are the Indian laws which takes care the maintenance of animals. And so cruelty towards animals is an offense. Interesting, a charitable public trust made for the benefit of a class of animals and not an individual animal is valid and enforceable. Means a trust can be established for the benefit of, say, cows. There can be a separate trust for the welfare and benefit of cows, or welfare and benefit of, say, dogs, but not for a single animal. You cannot establish a trust, because a trust shall be there for the benefit of class of animals and not of any individual animal. Next, legal status of idol and mosque. Many time question comes whether idol and mosque, mandir and masjid, whether they have any personality. And therefore, it has been judicially understood that idols are to be considered as a judicial person with a distinct and separate legal personality. Idol or a temple is considered as a separate personality because it is considered as a legal person. It is established under Public Trust Act. It can hold the property on its name. It can appoint the servant on its name, and therefore idol are considered as a separate legal person. In famous case of Pramathanath Mulik versus Pradyumna Kumar Mulik, the Privy Council came to an important decision and which held that the idol is a legal person and has the right to have its location duly respected, and a disinterested next friend can represent it, which the court will appoint. Means the idol is considered as a legal person as it has certain rights and capable to discharge certain duties. Of course, on behalf of idol or temple, pujari and other worshipper can discharge their rights and duties. In another case of Yogendranath Naskar versus Commissioner of Income Tax, it was held that if an idol can hold the property, then it must also pay taxes. This further cements or concretizes its status as a separate judicial entity, and therefore it is clear that the idol or temple are a separate legal person. As well as the court also have held that mosques are a separate judicial entities. Mosques and temples are considered as a property of God, and therefore in a famous movie of Oh My God, this question that whether the temple, whether the mosque are to be held responsible for the act of God, and yes, it was held that this is the act of God, natural calamity is act of God, and therefore the God should compensate the loss. Next is a legal status of an unborn child. Unborn child, that is a child who is in mother's womb, whether he or she shall be considered as a person or not, that was the question. By a legal fiction, an unborn child is considered as already born. Means the person or a child, when he completes 3 months in mother's womb, then he is considered as a person because he has been granted a certain legal personality. He becomes the object of law. The law should take care the health of not only pregnant woman but the health of unborn baby also, fetus also, and therefore he is considered as a person. He enjoys rights under Article 21 also, because he also has a right to life, right to live. He has a right to get medical assistance. He has a right to get food, and therefore that child, if born alive, then he will enjoy the legal status of personality, and therefore unborn child is now considered as a person. We know the story of Abhimanyu, who learnt everything when he was in mother's womb. And therefore, there are many other laws who consider the child in mother's womb as good as a person. For example, in Transfer of Property Act, we can transfer the property for the benefit of unborn child. Only condition is that he has to get alive. He has to born alive. As well as in Indian Succession Act, we can create interest in the name of unborn child. That is, while partition, if a lady is pregnant, then the share shall be kept separate for the unborn child. As well as in Hindu undivided family of Mitakshara law, an unborn child has an interest in a co-personality property because a child gets right by birth in co-personality property, and therefore in Mitakshara law, unborn child is considered as a person. Similarly, in criminal procedure code, if a female member who has been sentenced to death, if she is found pregnant, then till her delivery, her execution of death sentence shall be postponed. Similarly, in IPC, while defining the section of murder, the mention is made of child in mother's womb. Therefore, he is considered as a person. Now, next question always comes, whether a dead man or a person who has been dead is considered as a person or not. Here we'll see, a dead person is no more a legal entity, but as soon as a person dies, he becomes incapable of enjoying his rights or performing his duties. He personally shall not be held responsible to discharge rights or duties because he is dead and therefore is incapable. But the legal personality of a person ends with their death. It is mentioned in a famous maxim, actio personalis moritur cum persona, that personal action dies with the person, and therefore, but the law does take into account the wishes and desires of the deceased person. If the deceased person has created a will, then as per his will, the property shall be distributed, and therefore the property which is left behind by the dead person, that should be respected. There are certain rights to the dead person. For example, every person has a legal right to a decent burial as per their religious faith, and therefore even a soldier who has been died at the war, he should get, his dead body should get a respect or a right of decent burial. Any act that amounts to indignity of the corpse, that is a body, is punishable by section 297 of the IPC, and therefore the corpse shall be respected.